My name is Nate Benjamin, Ernest Nate Benjamin. Um, I'm doing this quick little interview because in a few days it's going to mark a year since I've been out. Um, and I don't know, a lot has happened, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of smiles, a lot of frowns, a lot of tears. Um, it's a lot. And so, yeah, I just figured I'd try something different, you know. So, but I'm humbled and appreciative, as I always say. Um, I'm having this, this second chance.
Okay, so 30 years is a lifetime for like most people. And that means you have missed like a lot of birthdays, family moments, changes in your community. And then the world, it continued to move on while you were still in the same place. And a year ago, after serving 3 decades, right, in prison,
Yeah,
you came home.
yeah,
You were 20, when you went away.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
20 years old, still a young person.
yeah.
Um, so I would, my question to you is, you know, after 30 years, coming back home, going back to that moment a year ago when you walked out of prison, what do you remember most about that day a year later?
Man, I just it was. It's like they're so fast. It's so easy to get caught up into the streets and being. They just throw you in prison, and they were like kicking me out of the minimum. They was like kicking me out, like get out of here. And I remember like just walking out of the minimum of the doors, and my good friend Mike Walsh. I love you, Mike. And he was right there, handing me a phone. And I didn't even know what to do with the phone, and he just gave me a hug, and it was just awkward just driving down the street and, met my attorney and some people from the media and, just hugging my lawyer um, was just like, it was just dope because my lawyer is like more than my lawyer. She's like my mentor, my mentee, my mentor, my friend, like a little big sister. And just remember just driving and then going downtown Boston and just seeing the seaport. And I remember like the first thing I ate was a bagel because I didn't know what else to do or how to even order, So yeah, that's what I remember. Um, and it was just like I had all of these plans and intellectually behind the wall, you thinking about all these things you want to do, and that's what I was thinking about. And there's a lot of other things, but in short, that's how I felt.
Was there was there a moment during that first day when it really hit you that you were free or free-ish?
Um, yeah, I think it was like a couple of days that went by, um, because I was literally scared. And, I walked down the corner store, you know, and I remember just walking down there and, and I just ended up buying me some blow pops, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, I ain't gotta wait a week for canteen, And and then when they said $1 for one blow pop, I was like, what? Or something like some crazy outrageous price. I was like, what? That's when
How much was a blow pop 30 years ago?
I think a blow pop was maybe like 10 cents,
10
maybe.
cents.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, so I went over there and it was like $1, and I was like, dang. So yeah. And then I walking back, over the bridge to my house, you know, um, you know, that's when I was like, wow, I'm free. But I remember like the first day out, um, you know, I ended up going to Stop and Shop like about 2 hours after, 3 hours after I'd been out, and I was scared to death. Like down Grove Hall, I was like, wow, like, I was nervous, and the person I was with, it was like, you okay? And I was like, yeah. But one thing I learned is that when you feel something, don't hide it, just express it. And I was always hiding, certain emotions because I felt like I had to like portray this image, you know what I'm saying? But I was scared walking in them aisles, and it was like, I remember my man Big C told me before I came home, he was like, yo, there's so many choices. And so I'm in the store and I'm like, damn, like I could get this type of salad or this type of salad or this type of chips or this type of that. But I was scared, man. Yeah.
So something ordinary
Yeah.
felt extraordinary to you.
Yeah.
Something as simple as having choices.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you went to prison at 20, correct?
Yeah, just turned 20.
You
Yeah.
just turned 20.
Yeah.
So you come home decades later, 3 decades later.
Almost 31 years.
Almost 31 years. 30 years and 5 months, you always say.
Yes.
So how do you think the person who went in compared with the person who came home? How do you think about that person, right? Like,
well, I think the person that came in was woefully immature. There was really no mental stability. I believe I was fairly intelligent because I always read, but intellectually, like we're processing things and like problem solving skills and things of that nature. I didn't have that, you know what I'm saying? And so when I came out of prison, I had acquired that knowledge through a lot of self-help groups and also through a lot of the men that I encountered along the way, and also being in prison and being in certain positions, mentoring gentlemen and also at-risk youth. I was able to see like myself in them, and then instead of judging them, just like, yo, I was the same way. And then so when I came out, I noticed that the certain people, places, and things that meant to me back then, they didn't mean the same to me anymore. I think that I was more emotional. Like I remember, I was with my sisters, man. Like the third day out, we went to Quincy, and the beach was right there. We went to a fish place, and I remember, went over there and I just started crying, and I noticed that before I came in, I was emotional, but I wasn't in touch with my emotions. But now that I'm out, being older, I'm more in touch with my emotions. I guess because of appreciating life itself. You know what I'm saying? We all have anger. Anger's emotion, but I think that my anger is a little bit more different than what it was when I was younger. I think a lot of the anger when I was younger was because of a form of insecurity and that trauma and that pain. You know what I'm saying? So now, thankfully I have people who I should utilize more, to help me and to compensate and to deal with these emotions and anger when I feel a certain way.
Yeah, in my experience in the past few years working with returning citizens, specifically those that have done the work on themselves behind the bars, like through restorative justice or through programs like Second Thought with Tommy Coons.
Yeah, I was on the board.
Yeah, so what I have noticed is that, you know, in them sharing their experience with me, is that you guys do a lot of work on yourselves behind the bars and do a lot of healing work. And then you come out and you see those around you, your family and your friends, that, you know, were left here in the community in the free cipher. They haven't done some of that work, and it's kind of been challenging, I guess, in a way.
Mm.
So my question to you is, you know, what has been more challenging, like adjusting to the world and how it has changed, or adjusting to the world how you have changed?
Wow, that's a really profound question. I think, man, it's all. I think, coming home when you're in prison and when you first, well, for me, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but for me, I want to make an I statement. Is that for me, when I first came in prison, you know, yeah, I was a different type of dude, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I was carrying on a lot of shit, a lot of pain. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the pain that I was carrying, I never really talked about it. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I always tell this story. Like one time, I was in segregation in Walpole, and my son was coming to see me, and I asked the CO, listen, don't, could you uncuff me before I go? You know what I'm saying? See my son, because he thinks I'm in school, my youngest son, and he was like, F you. And my son was like, Daddy, I thought you was in school. And I remember I came back into my cell in the hole. And that night I tried to kill myself and I didn't succeed. And then I was like, yo, I'm gonna do everything in my power to change. But the funny thing is I didn't know how to change. Um, Eventually, when I went to MCI Norfolk years down the line, um, I began to, get into programs and things of that nature. And I was, there's a lot of redeemable men behind the wall. Um, and, they would just take me and talk to me and build with me. And I remember that as I was changing and evolving and maturing, I became like a new person. And like I embraced this new identity, you know what I mean? And embracing that new identity, it just became like a part of me. And when I came out of prison, it was almost like, yo, like that was then. Now I have to figure out like this new world, not just the technology, but also how to like deal with people in relationships, how to understand and deal with letdowns because, I it's like I'm different now. So I went to another stage, to another stage, to another stage in my life. And so like it was just like, yo, like, I have to become this. You know what I'm saying? I have to do this. You know what I mean? And also I noticed like, there's a lot of letdowns, man. Like a lot of letdowns. Like in prison, they tell you, like it's like they got all these spectrum groups and things of that nature, and it's basically they don't teach you anything. You know what I'm saying? They woefully unprepare you instead of preparing you for the rigors of society. And it was like everything that they were teaching you when I came out here, it didn't work. And then it was like, like I was talking to Hamza, shout out to my brother Hamza, but it was just like, it was difficult for me seeing all these people who I had relationships with behind the wall, and we get together and it's like, yo, you my man, you my friend, yo, I love you, you're my brother, all that, and they're doing what they're doing, and it's like when you get with them, it's like they kind of like it hurts, but it's kind of like they kind of just don't really, they doing them. And so I had to learn the hard way is that, yo, I'm gonna have to just create my own lane and do it my way. You know what I'm saying? So that was hurtful, man. And also like like learning how to be a father, you know what I'm saying, or a brother, or an uncle, or a cousin, or of a son. You know, all of these things were difficult. Even, you know, having relationships with female, you know what I'm saying, or you know, those are a lot of things that I had to deal with and learn about in embracing who I am today. You know, but it's been tough, but we don't want nothing in life that's easy. You know.
Yeah. I can imagine 30 years away changes your relationship with like the people you love,
Yeah.
right? And I'm sure there's been many moments that have been kind of like a struggle for you, and I guess learning how to maybe be a family member again, and rebuilding trust, with family and
Yeah.
friends. But there is, I'm sure there's been meaningful moments that you've had with your family during this first year. But is there anyone you wish you could have shared this year with who isn't here?
Well, that's another question. Like, first, man, is like, yo, I love my family. You know what I'm saying? But some of my family, like when I came in prison, like they were babies. You know what I'm saying? Or like they don't know me, and in a lot of ways, I don't know them. And so, like in prison, like a lot of times, like I've always kind of like been distant. You know, I like to kind of do me and stay away from me. I mean, stay to myself. And I noticed that sometimes it's difficult for me, you know, mentally, and I'm not making excuses, but like to kind of just be around like people, it's just not easy, because like even though like they probably read about stuff or seen things on TV, like you really don't know what it's like behind there. You know what I'm saying? You really don't understand. You know, so like sometimes just being around family. You know, I love my family. I love my sister Tia. I love my cousins, and I love my auntie. We'll call my mom. I love them. I love them all. I love my brothers. You know, my nieces. But like one time, my brother was telling me, and it hurt me to the core, where my niece was like, "Yo, I love Uncle Nate, but I don't know him." You know what I'm saying? And that really hurt me, man. And it's like sometimes certain family members, you know, they call you, they want to build with you, but when I was back there, yo, they didn't even visit me one time. They didn't write me a letter one time. And so that kind of sits with me, but I don't want to take those negative emotions, you know, because I put myself in prison. But any family members who I wish that I could have, like, you know, my uncle Marshall, he was more than my uncle. He was like my dad. And sometimes when I sit in my crib, like I just get succumb with tears, because he was everything to me, man. Like everything, yo. He was my hero. He was everything, and he's not here. And you know, I just wish he was here. You know what I'm saying? And then his regrets, like, you know, my cousin, who I call my sister, she just passed away, and I wish that I could have spent more time with her. You know what I'm saying? You know, LaDonna, you know, obviously, man, you know, there's just a lot, man. Sometimes it's even tough just bringing it up. But you know, my mom, like, she passed away, you know, and just is like a lot of friends, man. But along the way, with the negative comes the positive. I've met some really extremely beautiful people, along with my center family, like Tia, and my auntie and my cousins, like Ibrahim, and that's like my brother. And I'm beginning to get close to my cousin Donald, and a few other people, man. But yeah, it's different, man. There's a lot of regrets. That's why, I always tell people, man, yo, like when you do crime, or when you do something, it's not you just doing time. It's the family members doing time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, um, yeah. So I don't know if that's, good enough answer, but
It's your answer is good enough.
peace. Yeah, yeah,
Peace.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, something, I guess, joyful.
Yeah,
right? Because
absolutely. Yeah.
cultivating joy is part of healing and part
Yeah.
of self-care. So
Yeah.
if you had to think about a moment that you are proudest of accomplishing during the first year, what would that be?
Wow, there's a lot. Um, Shout out to Hillary Bender, Dr. Hillary Bender, um, David DeValley, Jody, Kentel, Shatera, a lot of the people at Tufts, graduating from Tufts, man, real G's get degrees, man. I went to college in prison and then coming to college, and just graduating, and that was something that was important to me, man. Being able to have a job, like the doors were shut left and right, and then people that was in places, I would ask them to help me, and they did it. But then when I got it, basically through, the help of, Tufts and other people and getting the job, that was something that I accomplished. Um, Learning how to ride the subway trains, what I'm saying, facing those fears. Um, to some it may be small, but to me it's big. Those are some of the things. Now, I'm about to, get this permit, and then eventually get the license and get the car. You know what I'm saying? So those are some accomplishments, man. Um, Talking to a couple people, repairing relationships through my past misdeeds. There's a lot of other people that I hope to encounter. That's been something too that's been dope. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Accountability is part of growth. And
Absolutely.
getting to know
Absolutely.
you,
Yeah.
I know you hold yourself accountable and responsible
Yeah.
to your own growth and personal development. I'm curious, what is, I guess my question is, what did prison teach you that you don't want to carry with you anymore?
Um, I can't say it's funny because when I came home, you know, besides, even though, sometimes we have differences, but besides Tommy Coons and Zachary Ibrahim Bush and, Sean Ellis, he's like family, but he's like a big brother. When I came home, he's like, yo, he's like, you're not in prison no more. And sometimes my sister tells me that too. And sometimes, man, I find myself like going in the shower with flip flops on, you know, um, when I clean my house, going on my hands and knees with a rag, you know, um, I used to always be in restaurants and not want to have my back to the door, you know what I'm saying? And also like, you know, eradicating um, the ways and actions of being hyper vigilant. You know what I'm saying? So those are the type of behaviors, man, um, that I just want to continuously eradicate. I think that I could still be a little bit more humble because I've always been the type of person that I speak my mind. But what I've learned out here, because this is a cruel world, people don't care. So sometimes I just have to just use my discernment a little bit better. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And understand that even though I don't agree with something, you know what I mean, or even understand something, that's what those people are doing, and I just need to continuously focus on what Nate's doing. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
So basically, you don't want to take a shower with flip flops on or slides,
Nah,
and you want to
man.
use a mop when you wash your
Yeah,
floors.
yeah. I still don't know how to use the air fryer. I barely know how to use the microwave, even though they have in prison, they're different in here. You
Yeah.
know, I'm starting to learn how to cook a little bit, but
So a year later, what was your best day?
wow, man. There's a few of them, I think. Going to Hampton Beach, that was like dope. Um, Seeing both of my brothers, um, my brother Life, getting out and hugging him, and then going to seeing my other brother Rock and just hugging him. You know what I'm saying? Seeing a few friends, seeing Masha Fernandez, man, out in Brockton, seeing her, seeing Ollie, going to, New York City, you know what I'm saying? Seeing the buildings, the skyscrapers. I don't know, seeing our young people, these young kids, man, that are innocent, just enjoying life, where life can be a bunch of chaos and confusion. Going to, Tufts and, I still don't know how to put on a tie, but putting on a tie, you know what I'm saying? And, that was dope. Going to, a restorative justice circle out in Worcester, with Armand. That was dope. Basically, yeah, so I'm looking forward to many other things.
Okay.
Get my first paycheck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of, right?
Yeah.
Getting your first paycheck a year ago,
Yeah.
your goal was probably just to simply make it home, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Now that you've been home for a year, what are you working towards?
Well, obviously, every time you save, the way the money is, it goes. But just getting a vehicle, like not really paying attention to what other people are doing, because like I'm not trying to chase nobody. You know what I'm saying? But just getting that vehicle, and then after that, man, gaining a sense of independence and probably moving out a little bit farther. You know what I'm saying? To my own place. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna end it with a simple question that may not probably be so simple, but if you can, give advice to the person watching this, like who may be struggling to believe that you can change your life or they can change their life, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would tell them, man, don't chase anybody. Don't chase. You're gonna see a lot of individuals, man, that have things going on that you may want. You know what I'm saying? They may have been out a little bit longer than you. Don't try to chase them and get what they got. Try to be a lot patient, a lot more self-care, loving yourself. See a clinician, build with your clinician. Also, man, like one thing I learned, man, is just like right away, don't just jump into relationships. You know what I'm saying? Because not only are you gonna hurt yourself, but you're gonna hurt somebody else. Also, man, just remember that beautiful things come from struggle, meaning that, you went through the struggle, you know what I'm saying? And also allow the beautiful things to come from that struggle. And also, man, just remember, man, your victims' families, man, the people that you hurt, and take that pain and bring purpose through that pain that not only you caused others, but you caused yourself, man. And with that, man, I just want to just shout out, man, all the people, man, who were with me from day one when I came into prison and when I came out of prison, and who helped cultivate and pour into me. I know I'm not really good with talking to people and all that all the time, but I love y'all, man. And I just want to just shout out, man, my Uncle Marshall. I love you so much. Rest in power, Jessica Concepcion, and my sister LaDawn Jacobs, man. And always remember that beautiful things come from struggle. Peace.